with respect to the decision itself, at the end of the day, I think the election really is a matter of finance, right? And whichever makes sense more financially. I don't feel November versus April, any other bearing should weigh in on that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. And this question will be to you first, Mr. Franz. Evidently, I have several cards up here. There's a lot of interest in the 2 extra ballot questions. Mm-hmm. So the gist of these questions is, what data did you use? How did you arrive at your decision about the ballot questions, if you supported them?
I think, there is a need to find a balance. There's a need to prioritize accordingly. There's a need to identify the must-haves versus the wish we could have. I think, we as a board, we as an administration, we have all along kind of informally been polling. It's been an ongoing discussion, and I'm speaking to the staffing, the administrative support for the students, the counselors. I think there is a real need to broaden that. I think it's the board made the decision that this would be a benefit to the community and to the kids. It's something that the staff itself would benefit from being more robust and not as thinly stretched. With respect to the second question, security, again, I think, we looked around, we do compare and talk to Dr. LaSousa in particular, talked to a number of other schools in the area. We had, independent audit of our systems, and again, kind of identifying the weaknesses or the room for improvement. I think both those, and again, the second one, obviously, again, speaking to Connecticut and what happened there, it's the last thing any of us want. And so I think I personally, I feel both of them are valid items on the budget. Again, I think it was a matter of identifying what we needed this year versus years down the road, i.e. generators. That kind of took a back seat this year.
Mr. DeFiglia.
Well, as I'm understanding the question is written, I did not participate in the process to add the questions on the ballot, so I can't really speak to the process behind it. And since so much of the data that was used to pick those 2 questions to put on the ballot was not publicly available information, I can't really offer a substantive comment on it. However, and while full well recognizing that it's very easy for me to sit here, having not gone through the process to offer this critique, I think that I'm not sure that adding those 2 questions and not others was the best choice. I think there are other things in the budget that the public might have liked an opportunity to vote on, whereas some of the things, again, going to the security issue, I think they're just too critical for our children to leave to a budgetary whim, whereas there is other things in the budget that we could do with or without. Would we like to go without them? No. Would we like to have them? Sure. But we need to give the voters some opportunities. I'm just not sure the security is one that we should put up to not have included in the base budget. I think that was very important. Again, while still believing that I don't know we need an administrative position in it.
Okay. This question will go to you first, Mr. DeFiglia, and it has to do with your approach to conflict resolution. The question assumes that there are warring factions within the school district. I can't imagine that ever happening. But what would be your approach to trying to manage those disparate opinions?
Is there any clarification on whether that would be internal within the staff or within the public, within the board?
No, are you more likely to tirelessly argue your stance or attempt to mediate warring factions? That's verbatim. I was trying to write it.
Well, I am someone who believes passionately in what I believe in, and if I think something is right, I will argue my point. However, I am also very willing to work with other members of the public. If folks in the borough know that I have gone before the council on a number of issues in the past, and I still work with them closely on a number of other issues, despite the fact that we disagree on some. So I'm willing to put my own interest aside to work towards whatever end is best for the students of the district and the rest of the community.
Thank you. Mr. Franz.
I mean, as a board member, your opinion is always valued. Your experience is valued. With respect to your position, I think, obviously there is no personal gain ever involved. It's always what is for the greater good. And whether that's relenting on what you feel or mediating, meeting someone middle way, it would depend on the situation, it depend on the issue. As Ed indicated, I'm sure we both, feel strongly about certain things more than others, as well as the other party may feel strongly about certain things rather than others. So I think it's a matter of identifying what that is. And look, at the end of the day, you're all in this for, again, the greater good and the good of the community, the good of the school system. So, I think the expectation would be, at the end of the day, that's going to rule the decision.
Okay. Well, everybody here has been very efficient, and it seems that the questions are very similar. So we're in the situation where we can go on to the closing statements. And as according to our protocols from our old debating classes, the person who spoke first concludes the last. So, Mr. DeFiglia, you'll have your 2 minutes to make your closing statement.
Sure. I'm someone who believes strongly in the community. I've been here for a lot of years. My wife and I decided to raise our own children here. My family roots go back to the mid-50s in this town with my aunt who moved here. So I've seen Chatham change through the years. And I feel that the school system has always been one of the brightest gems in its crown. But I think there are a lot of other gems. And I think we need to balance how we approach the whole community and where the school system fits into that. Folks who know me know that I wear my ideas on my sleeve, and I'm always happy to talk about just about any issue that comes up. I'm just very excited about the possibility of helping out in the community more than I already am. And one of the things that I found talking to people in town, I've knocked a lot of doors, and it's almost cliche, but you talk to folks in town and you talk to folks who say, are you going to cut the budget? I need my taxes to go down. Or what extra activities are you going to get for my kids? And those seem to be extremes. And I can only say to the community that if you're hoping that I'm going to come out there and promise to slash the budget, I'm not going to do that. And if you're hoping that I'm going to come out there and vote for every single idea that comes across the board's plate, I can't say that I'm going to do that ever. I'm going to evaluate each and every item that comes before me, and I'm going to keep the community as a whole in mind when I vote on it. And I hope that does what it needs to do.
Thank you. Mr. Franz.
I certainly don't pretend to know everything, and I certainly don't know everything. But I'm passionate. I care deeply about this community. I care deeply about the school system. Education's a wonderful thing. It's a powerful thing. It leads to many opportunities down the road, at least, to many different avenues, doors opening. I was lucky growing up, not in Chatham, but I have drank the Kool-Aid. I love it here. I grew up in a community that valued education, a family that valued education. That led to a college education, which in turn led me to here eventually, and for that I'm grateful. And so, I very much recognize what the power of education is, and I want my children to have that same opportunity. And in closing, obviously I wish I had the best of luck, but at the end of the day, it's not about him or I, it's about what's best for our school and our community, and for that I hope you vote that way next Tuesday. So thank you for coming this evening.
Well, very good. And I, too, want to not only thank the audience, but I think you in the school district of the Chathams should be very proud that your candidates are willing to come out and engage in public discourse. The League of Women Voters would be happy to be out every night. I mean, really, this is our mission. But so often, the candidates decline speaking in this structured way before the public. So that's not true in Chatham, and I think let's give them a round of applause. Democracy. And it was mentioned, I think this crowd probably knows, voting is next Tuesday, the 16th from 2 to 9. If your life changed in a minute and you need an absentee ballot application, we have some here. The due date for mailing those is tomorrow, so if you're really in a crunch, you might want to drop it off in Morristown at the County Hall of Records. But we thank you for coming, and be sure to vote on Tuesday. Thank you.
Nice job.
Phil, thank you so very much.
Thank
Really,
you.
thank you for everything you guys do. Thanks. Thank you very much for volunteering to do this. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Louis. Appreciate you moderating.
Thank you. It's not easy being the hot seat literally tonight.
Appreciate you
Thank
putting
you.
this together.
Well, thank you guys for participating.
That's how she found out how she was.